But that's not the guy in our studio now. The guy in our studio is also green, but he's Tom Watson, the EcoConsumer Public Education Director for King County Solid Waste. And he's making his annual... By the way, King County Solid Waste is the sweetest way to say that word I can think of.
Yes.
No, come on, Bob.
Garbage, right?
Well,
Junk, waste, the
yeah.
stuff we discard in all shapes and forms.
It's beautiful. It's
Yes.
solid waste, man. Solid gold. All right, and he is here. Tom Watson, good morning. Happy holidays to you, Tom.
Happy holidays to you guys.
Yeah. You're upbeat today.
I always try to be upbeat as you are, and especially on a Friday. I love to come into a studio and talk on a Friday because people are in a good mood. And
yeah, and it's Christmas time, right? And people, does this time of year really bother you? Because this is the time of year people string up lights they don't even need to light up the outside where they aren't even at for people to drive by, and they go and they turn on their electricity and they just burn it away. Does this bother you a lot?
it doesn't bother me at all. I love the holidays, and people should celebrate them however they like. I hope that they will consider the impact of what they do. And so if you're really into this big holiday lights display, the whole Griswolds thing, right, where they...
See, he even has a Target family that he throws darts at.
The Griswolds, that's the famous movie, isn't
Yes,
that?
yes, absolutely,
What
yeah.
is it?
Vacation.
Christmas Vacation.
National Lampoon Christmas Vacation.
If you're going to do that, consider getting the energy-efficient LED
LED bulbs,
lights,
right?
and recycle your old bulbs. There are locations all
And have
around.
them on a timer. Don't have them go on all night long. See,
Yes.
I'm your friend.
You're into all this.
I actually have. You've had an impact on my life. Did you know that?
Well, that makes me feel good.
Yeah, you have. I switched to all LED outdoor lighting, and I have it on a timer for just the times I'd like it. You know, when it first gets dark at night and you want a feeling of a little warmth and light, and then boom, they go off, and they're on it. And when I switch to these bulbs, instead of 60, 80, 90 watts, you know, each one of the bulbs is like 6, 8, or 12 watts, and I added them all up, and all those bulbs came to like the equivalent of one 60-watt bulb.
I'm sure you're really going to save money, and you won't have to change them as often. And when I was here for Earth Day last year, I brought you guys LED bulbs.
That's why I put them in, because
And-
you gave them to me for free.
they were-
Shh, keep that quiet.
They're really cheap when they're free.
Actually, I also bought some at the local hardware store where there was a Puget Sound Energy rebate,
Yes.
which there is on a lot of these bulbs
City
now.
Light, Seattle City Light, and Puget Sound Energy are offering discounts, and other utilities on those.
And you know, it's great because these bulbs actually last 25,000 hours, which is in some cases, depending on how many, how much you burn it per day, they'll last your lifetime.
Yes, and they're getting better and better and less expensive. And
Yeah.
that one that I brought in, that's still working. I always, it was one of the early ones, and I live in fear that, the
You don't think I'm going to call you some night and go,
Yeah.
hey, Tom,
it
my
burst
bulb's
into
up.
flames and my house burned down.
You cause this problem. Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel confident that they're going to
All
do
right.
the job for you.
So they're great, and that's a great thing for Christmas because more and more now you see the LED Christmas lights on trees, and you see them in the hardware stores and everything. And so if you get those, you're burning hardly any electricity.
They will help you save money.
Yeah.
If you have tons of lights, you're still going to burn some, but they will really help.
Okay. What else would you like to tell us about?
I would really like to connect some of the things that you've been talking about on your show lately to how we celebrate the holidays.
Okay.
And climate change, I think I don't want to be a downer, and I want it to be
Go on.
I mentioned climate change, and then see, I
I'm
don't want to
good
be a
with it.
downer, so
Yeah.
Joe laughs. But we need to consider the things like the typhoon in the Philippines and the droughts affecting Africa, where Spike and your crew are now. I'm thinking about the death of Nelson Mandela. Climate change is a social justice issue, and through our individual actions, our incredible consumption, the kind of things you've been talking about on the phone with Spike and Eric about the water, the comparisons of the water waste and all that.
Yeah, the things we do that we just don't even think about.
Yes,
Huge
if we can
resource.
just consider the impacts of some of these things that we're doing and try to, I think you can do that without affecting how much you enjoy the holidays.
Could still have fun. Yeah.
One thing we talked about a couple of days ago, Tom, is with this cold, I used some de-icer on my windshield.
I heard
Did you hear
that,
the
and I had some
de-icer
comments
segment?
on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Now,
the fish in your backyard die when the day he did that?
Well, before we say too much more, I got an email from a guy and says, well, they use that stuff by the thousands of gallons at the airport. I mean, they're putting it on these plane wings to de-ice, and that's going right down the drain.
Exactly.
Oh, it goes
It's a
into the
similar-
pavement, into drains at the airport. What happens to those drains? Where do they go?
I think they are capturing that, and it's getting treated. I believe that they have
believe
a
they're
system
very
for that.
concerned.
So
Yeah,
is this stuff bad, environmentally speaking?
The biggest danger on that, so household products will have a warning. If they have a warning, it'll say danger or poison, which
Yeah,
was on
it
your
did.
can.
Yeah, skull and crossbones.
And that's the worst one. And then if it says caution or warning is not quite as bad, but danger or poison.
Yeah.
And on that particular project,
He doesn't want to harsh your buzz, but you're spraying poison that can kill you
Well,
into your heating
I
intake
haven't
system.
used it since.
Well,
by the
let
way,
me say
also.
though,
Yeah.
for that particular product, I think the flammability. I actually researched that that product
From listening to our show, really?
Yes.
Wow, thank you.
and I knew about it already, but I double checked to see that I was right. So the worst danger of that is the flammability that you have this. I think it's methyl alcohol, or one of your listeners had mentioned
Yeah.
the chemicals, and I saw what was in there, and it's in a pressurized can, and so it's more of a safety concern almost. But there are some.
What about
some
the
toxic-
fumes getting in his air intake duct? When he puts it on his windshield, that's exactly where the fumes go into for your children.
That
are
could
in the
be
car.
an issue. That's a little less of a concern than the flammability.
yeah,
but that's
I'm-
also an
Tom's
issue.
ball of
I'm-
fire.
I'm
concern.
trusting my-
Exactly.
I'm
He's
tru-
worried about the big great ball of
Yeah,
fire
the
when the
great
car
ball of
blows up.
fire.
Okay,
I'm
that's
trusting,
fair enough.
I'm trusting my government.
You trust your government.
Well, I'm trusting them that if that was a problem of inhaling this stuff through your thing, they would
know
have
about it.
abandoned
They
a
would
long
never
time
let
ago.
something like that go on for decades, like cigarettes.
I say that if that product is going to help you get the ice off your window and get to work faster, I use it responsibly. Make sure you use it all up.
Yeah.
And if you have any left over, don't put it in the garbage. It needs to go to a hazardous waste place, but just go ahead and use it all up if you have it.
Good to know. Now, I want to know, as I always ask you, what you and what's Mrs. Eco? What's her name?
My wife, Linda.
Yeah, Linda. What do you and Linda do during the holidays? Do you have a giant outdoor home lighting display?
We have had lights in the past. Years ago, we haven't.
No
we don't
lights
have lights
now.
right now. We
So
don't
it's
do
dark
lights.
at your house. That makes sense. And what do you have a Christmas tree though? Are you
We
Christmas
will. We have a little artificial tree in the basement that we bring up. We haven't brought it up yet. We
So you
probably
wait
will.
until like a couple days before. That's also conserving, right?
Well, with an artificial tree, it doesn't matter. I think the best. I knew you were going to ask about Christmas trees.
Yeah.
I think the best one
Is artificial.
Is I would say a living tree that is potted that you bring in every year,
And then you put it out in the pot.
and then put it outside on the patio in
So
a
you
pot.
believe it with your trees, catch and release.
Catch and release. That's a good one. I like that.
Catch and release your Christmas tree.
Even fresh trees, because a buddy of mine last night said, man, what a waste of trees to see, people just using these for decorative purposes. And I said, well,
Do you think? But trees are like asparagus.
yeah, that's
They
what I
farm
told
them.
him.
They
Cut them
grow
off
them.
as soon as they get to a
That's what I-
certain height, and you enjoy it, and then you throw it
That's
away.
what I told him. I said, these things are,
Asparagus.
are like corn or asparagus. They're made for the purpose. We're not going out into the forest. I mean, a few people get a permit and go to the forest. Sure.
But that's called thinning.
Yeah,
And that's a relatively green way to do it.
That's
too, is
actually
to-
good for the forest, Joe, to go out
really?
and thin a few trees.
So if you want to cut tree, buy a Washington State one rather than one shipped from California.
Because that one got put on a truck where a big truck went on the highway for hours and hours. No, I'm totally getting it.
Yes.
That's a good. So actually, if you get a permit to go into the woods and cut it, you are thinning the forest, which
that's-
allows more branches to grow on the bigger trees, and it's actually good for the forest.
I would say so. Yes.
because you're not cutting a 50-foot-old growth. I mean,
Yeah.
if you can put it on your top of your station wagon, it's not
On,
going to.
on the other hand, if we do what you and your wife Linda do, and you just have a Chinese manufactured in a factory that makes poison dog food, if you have one of those, at least you only had it once, and it lasts you for 20 years, and they don't keep making it.
Hey, sometimes makes poison dog.
Sometimes makes lead paint poison dog
If you're
food.
going to
Not
buy an
all the
artificial
time.
tree, try to get not one of the really cheap ones that might have plastic with sketchy chemicals. Get a higher quality one. Try to use it for at least 10 years.
All right, very good.
Somebody has a really good question here on the text.
Oh, good.
Every time this year you bring out those lights. They don't work. Is there a place to recycle old strings of Christmas lights instead of just throwing them in your big landfill?
Yes, we have it on our website, kcgreenholidays.com. KC is for King County. And we have in the Green Holidays section, I have just updated the listings of holiday lights recycling. So many Lowe's stores, McClendon Hardware. There's a big program in Tacoma and Auburn. There's some charity programs. You can recycle those old lights. There's value in the copper in the wire. So
it's worth something to somebody. They will actually recycle them.
Yes, there's a place on Vashon Island. There are locations for that.
Right. Tom Watson, what about fruitcake? Do you do fruitcake? There's something you can have one and it'll last a whole lifetime.
I am glad you mentioned that because food is one of the big ways we can reduce our impact for the holidays. And this ties in again on our global impact. Americans waste about 20 pounds of food a week.
Really?
That's the
like
the
one person, like myself.
I believe that's individually. Yes.
Wow.
And so the leftovers we don't eat, all of the food waste but that might be cumulative. That might be the average based on waste from grocery stores and
right.
farms
They're
also.
adding up and they're adding up all the stuff that we actually throw out, and it turns out it comes to 20 pounds per person.
But still, it's a lot, and there's a lot related to the holidays. I think food gifts are great, stuff that you buy at farmers markets or wherever, but try to make sure it's something that people will actually eat.
So you're down on fruitcake. You don't want to come up against
love
the fruitcake.
fruitcake.
Well,
He's
all right.
saying
Well,
cook
I'll tell
it
you what.
if you have an aunt who loves it.
All of you who have fruitcake, send it to Tom.
Don't. I will. If it's
You'll
good
actually eat
fruitcake,
it.
I
Yeah.
will eat it. You can
Right.
send it to me, and I will not waste it. I'll give it away if I can't eat it.
Tom Watson, the eco-consumer, going green for the holidays. Tom, always great to see you.
It's always fun to come in. Thanks for having me on, and happy holidays, you guys.
Happy holidays.